Yep. Now I got you.
All right, so recording is in progress and we are talking. Um, so I remembered the previous chapter, fitness ADHD. You know what? I'll pretend I'm young. Uh, what am I kidding? Um, Fitness ADHD, and this is the term you've coined, and I absolutely loved it when we've talked about like people and the type of programming they seek and they want, and you just throw up in the air like, people have this fitness ADHD and they want variety instead of committing to the progress, if I'm remembering the theme correctly. So please expand on this subject.
Yeah. Well, sure. I don't know if I actually coined that term or not. If I heard it from somewhere else, it sounds like something awfully intelligent for me to come up with on my own. Um, but the idea is that the grass is always greener. You scroll Instagram or YouTube and you find the fanciest flow you can, and somebody that's jacked or ripped or has the physique that you desire or is doing something you find desirable, moving in a way that you find desirable, and so you're always constantly hopping. The problem with that obviously is we don't know the time that person put into developing their craft. We don't understand the years that went into their training to look like they look. We just are, it's a shiny new object, and we're off to the next new thing. And so that's kind of where we're at in society. We want to be distracted. We want to be something's going to pull our attention, and that's kind of what, like, we just, instead of, a lot of times progress is slow, especially in GS, because you have to be mentally involved, and there's a lot that can pull us, as we have talked. For me, for example, I've got a gym that I train at, and a lot of times there's people walking in that want help in the middle of a 8-minute set, or there's one of those things where the phone's constantly ringing, or it's just, and we train a lot of people as well, you and I both, that are business owners and distracted and have families and things like that, and so progress can be slow because there's so many different factors going on, and all of a sudden you see something different that looks more fun, or this guy looks amazing, or this girl looks amazing, and they're obviously having fun, and their progress is faster than mine, and so that's where I need to be, and kind of that's what I have kind of determined is or how I would describe that fitness ADHD concept.
So why doesn't it work? Because it sounds, and it's not about bringing up names or talking about other people, but it, like, CrossFit is the obvious choice, because like people saying, hey, these guys do like various stuff and they look great and they have amazing condition. So like, who's right? Like, what are you talking about? What's the difference?
Well, we when you have a consultation with somebody, and whether it's goals for aesthetics or goals for fat loss or performance increases, or maybe a specific event in GS, or a specific event outside of GS, maybe it's a road race, maybe, well, whatever, it doesn't matter. If you're constantly hopping around, you can't track progression. You can't you can't build towards a benchmark and then reevaluate, and then what's working, what isn't working. That randomized attention deficit box checking of fitness that fitness has become doesn't allow us to get a true evaluation of what we need, what we've been doing, and what we need to do to progress. It's just constantly just moving for the sake of moving. It's that rocking horse mentality that I'm moving all the time, but I don't go anywhere. And so if we can avoid that mindset, I think it makes a lot more sense from a progression standpoint, or actually achieving goals that you set forth. And that doesn't mean you can't change your goals. You start off with one goal and something else comes up in life and you switch to another goal or whatever, but you still have to have a plan and a strategy to get there. And the randomness of social media kind of eliminates that plan and strategy. Going from, if you had a destination, if you're driving your car and you had a destination you needed to get to, and you started off that way, and you're like, man, this is taking forever. I've been on this road for a long, long time. Well, I can take the next right and go that way. Well, that doesn't mean you're going to your actual destination. It just means you're going a different direction. And so every time we stray off of our map and our strategy, we're just adding more time to our trip. And so, while the going may feel slow or seem slow, there's still, it takes as long as it takes. I think you've told me that numerous times. It's like you can't get in a hurry, because we can't stop living life. I can't stop being a dad. I can't stop being a business owner, a husband, about whatever, to just focus solely on my long cycle practice, because it's just not applicable to my, I have to be a husband first, a father first, a business owner first, and I can pretend to be a Gearvig when I'm got my priorities taken care of.
Well, first of all, let's take for the latter. Professional athletes doesn't live very long professionally. So we're talking about, like, super pros aside, because your body is broken, and anybody that goes into professional sport, they signing a contract, like not real one, but they absolutely know that they're going to do everything but healthy, because this is what it takes to bring medals. And about the CrossFit, I have a funny story. First of all, there is a coach that I respect. His name is Derek Kabutsky, and he talked about periodization a lot, and I learned, and he talked about CrossFit, and he said that it's all nice until the top CrossFitters, and I'm talking about like 7 years ago when I was listening to him. He was part of late Charles Poliquin crew, a great coach by his own right, who trained like many Olympians. And he said the moment the top CrossFitters want to perform at CrossFit Games, they begin to train like athletes, meaning they periodized, the programming is very scheduled, very quote unquote boring, very linear. So this, like, this fad that you see, it's all nice until you're doing stuff in your garage. Right. The second thing, I have a colleague here. He was a CrossFit box owner, and he trained, like, he did programming. He trained one of the most serious Israeli teams here. And it was the same thing. He said, listen, yes, we do many skills, like so it seems, but we practice each skill individually, and we don't have so many skills. We have this gymnastics, we have weightlifting, and like some endurance. So like skill-wise, it's very minimalistic. And eventually, when you're programming for a competitive team, like I'm writing just these strengths blocks, like 8 weeks of strengths, then, okay, very linear, single stuff, a single physical attribute, then it's 8 weeks of this and 8 weeks of that, and then you begin to kind of modulate. So it's very similar to the Olympic, like pentathlons and like any Olympic, like multi-event. Okay, it's the same programming. And like in fitness ADHD, like when I was looking at terms, and you've mentioned the driving, it seems that, yeah, like people absolutely overwhelmed with what they see in social media. And it seems that is an absolute disconnection or mismatch between their, like goals and we said that we are going to talk about realistic goal settings and goals in general.
Yeah.
Because like it's okay to take this right turn and go off the road, right? It's fine, but you need to be very specific with what do you want. Because if you're saying that you want to go to Vegas, that I believe it's the Route 66, the most like the famous road that takes you to Vegas, you need to stay on this route. If you take the sideways, you won't get to Vegas. Like you have a maybe amazing like adventurous road trip, but it won't get you to Vegas. So this is something that people must be very clearly, and they don't understand what does it take to get where they think they want to go. And initially, I don't think they just like saw that and saying like, okay, I just want to do what I've seen. So yeah, like the and the other paradox, if we think about it, and I've began to like talk about it, I'm trying to write a book up several times, but I'll finish it eventually. And here's the thing: we all live, if you think about it, by this very linear and very boring, kettlebell sport style progression. Because when you go to kindergarten and you start your like school or preschool, whatever you are developing in very, like linear singular stages. First, you learn the ABC, then you learn to connect. You don't learn ABC and then songs and then Shakespeare. Like you don't have this, like this hopping from thing to thing, because when it does happen, we get children that are not developed properly. Okay, we have like really undeveloped kids. When you go to your high school, you have the same programs that takes you from topic to topic. It's the same topic for several, maybe weeks. We have, you have terms at school, or in the high school, you're like 3 months, whatever you're learning, the same topic. Then it goes progressing, etc. Same in if you want to build a healthy relationship, it's the same. You stuck with one woman, like with one partner, regardless. Okay, you don't change them on a weekly or daily basis, like weekly undulating, daily undulating periodization. Like if you want to have these results, same with kids. Like you have your kid, you don't order from AliExpress or whatever, like from Amazon and others, like somebody else's kid. Like we all live in this, but somehow we fail to see that training is very similar. And it doesn't have to be like your whole life doing one thing, but it cannot be on a daily basis and just changing your goals constantly because you saw somebody doing some, cool mobility stuff, rolls or bridges. Now, athletic carryover. And this is, and I've seen you write about it, and I've experienced this too. And you wrote that, like, by doing simply GS, when you like really gave it a go and you did this practice, programmed, committed, you basically sustained and maintained all of your previous fitness attributes without actually training them. So what you've said, that this two-bell kettlebell sport style, and I believe we talked about or long cycle or half snatch in the carryover, that endurance-wise, it like after doing that, you could easily done like the simplest, like every other protocol or kettlebell complexes became like very easy and attainable, like without needing actually to put time and train them, just by doing like long cycle or half snatch with double 24s and double 32s in your case. So will you expand, please?
Yeah. So when you and I first started training, I believe we talked about it in a previous conversation, but training you were helping me train for half marathon, single bell, half snatch. So 32 half snatch for 30 minutes, as many reps as I could do. And I already competed in Spain, and you were preparing me for Poland the next year, and the Arnold in between the two events. And in that training, my goal was to hit on the platform. My goal was to hit 450 reps, 15 reps a minute. And you had, with programming and my effort, we had achieved that one time in training. So I knew I could do it, but I could never put it together on the platform. And after having a good showing at the Arnold and a poor showing in Poland, for whatever reason, I had kind of given up on. I'm tired of half snatch, half marathons. I'm tired of 30 minutes. This is not where I can mentally do right now. And so we had began that process of and Stefan from IKMF had asked me to do this is during COVID now. Since live competitions were done, he was doing what he was calling the Games Challenge, I believe. And he had asked me to do a 10-minute set with 24s half snatch to do one-on-one on a Zoom. And so we had started training for that. And that was something that I had never experienced. That was 10 minutes with two bells was far worse than a multi-switch event with one bell. And
it is.
it's it's something I couldn't prepare for mentally until I got into it. And you get 6-7 minutes into it at a pace that is challenging and load that's challenging. You're like, this is the worst thing I've ever done every time I do it. And but anyway, getting to that level of hitting 10 minutes with 24s half snatch, or at that point, that was what the goal was with for the competition. Anyway, going back to single bell stuff, without training for single bell, I still was doing the Ultimate Gearvik Cup, an online challenge, and I was still doing half marathons with a 32, or I guess whatever weight I wanted, but it was half marathon, half snatch. And I was doing 3 a year because that was the competition: stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. I was only training two bells, 10-minute sets, various paces, various loads, anywhere from 20s to 32s, half snatch and long cycle both. Just different times in the year, different online competitions. But so I still do the 3 half snatch, half marathons. I think I hit 485, my best, 482 or 485. It's on with a 32, and completed it with a 36, and was hitting Master Sport World Class numbers. All 3 of those are Master Sport World Class numbers, and I even completed with a 40, a half marathon, half snatch with a 40. I think I hit 310 with that. Whatever the total was, it was IKMF Master of Sport World Class. Again, just a training set. But the point is that training two bells, 10-minute sets, various paces, various loads. And so I just kind of decided that two bells overhead, whether it's half snatch or long cycle, two bells overhead changed everything for me. I could go in and do, world-class numbers with a 30-minute half snatch. I could go in without doing get-ups. I was able to do a challenge, the Sinister challenge with 60 kilograms. The 100 single arm swings, 10 every 30 seconds, and then 10 get-ups, one on the minute. I hadn't been training get-ups because it's not part of my GS programming. And just, there was something that I had done a ton of in the past before GS. So, I mean, I was certainly capable prior to doing it, but it had been years since I had gone over 48 kilograms doing that. And just to say, okay, I'll do it without, training for it with 60 kilograms was Anyway, the point that you had asked me, the carryover from training with GS is obviously, I'm a subject of one, and it could be different for everybody. But my experience personally, and then with the kids that I work with, um, you know, I think the conditioning aspect that you gain from GS, building a foundation of strength, will carry over to whether you want to be a football player and you're focusing on squat, hang cleans, and bench press. Obviously, those aren't movements you're gonna focus on while you're training for GS. Maybe some GPP stuff with it, but you're not gonna go too far back. There's a skill involvement, and if you're not practicing the skill declines. But if you're training GS hard and you're training to improve your conditioning, you're training to improve your mindset, and for pain, you're training to do all those different kinds of things. Your strength that you built prior to isn't going anywhere. Now you may have to spend a little bit of time improving your skill or sharpening up your skill that you let slide a little bit, but like you can't be good at everything all the time, so once you build that skill set back up, that strength never left, but your conditioning improved. And so it's just one of those things where, again, if you're constantly chasing two rabbits because you're always after the next best thing or the next closest thing, that's the conversation I think we started having. But if you're chasing two rabbits, you go hungry. That's kind of what it comes down to. You got to stay focused on whatever that goal is. So I kind of rambled a little bit there. I hope I answered your question.
Oh, yes, you have. And eventually, if you chase two rabbits, you'll die. Okay, you'll go hunger first, and then you'll be dead later because you'll have none of them. And
yeah.
Like there is a tale about the mule or an ass of Aesop that stood between a hay and a water trying to decide to which until he dropped dead, because he wanted both at the same time. But, first of all, you've talked about the skill, and I want just to emphasize, so yeah, prior skill is a must, okay? If you never done muscle ups, no matter how much GS you do, you won't be able to do muscle ups, okay? But you've done muscle ups or Turkish get-ups and you have the skill, the rest will be, like, it's with you. So it's really, so like the returning curve to the previous numbers getting very, very short. Okay, it's a couple of workouts and you almost at the loads and sizes that you were previously. The second thing that you've mentioned, and I want to talk about it for a second for people who are watching and thinking about competing, listen to me very carefully. And Levi mentioned it about Poland. When you begin to compete, not in your home gyms, in your living room submitting videos, because it's fun, it's great, and it's amazing. But the moment that you're stepping out of your door to go to the competition, the first year of participating in the events, not competing, but participating in events, meeting people, but still standing on a live platform, you are learning to compete. You are learning to participate. You are practicing participation, not girevoysport. The girevoysport comes later, when you are absolutely, relaxed, free, because one thing is sure, that something always goes sideways in live events, because there are live events, there are multiple people. Sometimes the AC doesn't work, like in case of my trainee Aiden. He was practicing for Spain. They came to Spain and he said it was like shit hot, like in sauna, no AC, and like I never been in this situation. He still lifted. He obviously took his pace down. He stood the 10 minutes, but it's something he wasn't prepared. In my competition in France, it was COVID. At first, they announced me that they locked my country, so I'm not be able to go home. And mentally wise, I said, like, I'm here, so I like this information is absolutely redundant. And then when I began to warm for my set and I ate properly and everything was timed, a woman came to me and said that I am warming up too early because apparently they got a printer broken and early evening So now they're doing the decorations for the yesterday's participants, and only then we are going to start our sets. So everything within my perfect plan of eating and timing and going on the platform within the time, right, went to toilet. And like there is no food, so and what do? Because like in a half or 40 minutes where everything like window wise was like gone, you need to go on a platform. In my case, I did the full marathon snatch, 1 hour, and like you need to snatch. And you cannot let this thoughts creep into your head, thinking you're going to be hungry. What about your calories? And like you're snatching here, but do you have money to stay in France? If you really like everything, okay. So yeah, when you think about participating live, okay, just to have fun and go and really like have fun in participating. Don't anticipate anything. It will take time for you to make it feel like your home gym, that you absolutely don't care, that you've learned everything. You go and you're, just doing it. And about the carryover that you were talking about, this is something that I experience and experiencing firsthand. Like it's very simple. GS does two things. You have a very conditioned shoulder stabilizing muscles, okay, every overhead stabilization and endurance. You have obviously great core because securing two bells overhead for, multiple reps, you need your core muscles to be conditioned. You have the hips and you have the explosive power for multiple reps. So you're not like a weightlifter going all out for one rep. All right, but you do engage and you learn how to ignite your explosive strengths because you cannot do GS slow. Okay, like neither snatch or you have the second dip. It's like weightlifting. We fall, we snap, and we bounce back up again and again and again with submaximal weight. So what it does for legs muscle is contracting and always this active core stabilization. That in my case, I'm running, swimming, and now recently triathlons. In my recent preparations for half marathon, I almost haven't run because I didn't needed to endurance wise, like running conditioning wise, I had plenty from just doing girevoysport. I ran to regain this bounce off the floor and some running mechanics and building up some volume. But my running preparations, unlike people who really run, was about twice a week. And then I just came and I did it. And if you're talking, coming back to what we've started and you've said, we have lives and we have families and we have businesses and we have stuff over our heads. This is like the best shortcut maybe we can have. Yeah. Because let's put results aside. If you want to run for results and you want to be a runner, you must be a runner. All right, but if you are doing it for fun and you don't mind about 5 to 7 minutes here and there, but you really like to experiencing stuff, it's amazing. Same with pool. I do some swimming and then I just come to event and I swim and I said, hey, I kind of saved myself a lot of time and I did 3-in-1, 4-in-1 practice. It's amazing. So to wrap it up, and we'll pick it up for the next time, the debate, which is very long, and I read about it, which actually pissed me off. Really pissed me off. That another kettlebell school that was this debate about kettlebell sport is really hard to master relative to other styles. Okay, if I'm being politically correct and not mentioning names. And let's say not for girevoysport wise, and obviously if you want to compete with 32s, you are becoming an amateur pro and you want to invest time. But for athletic development, as an athletic endeavor, which I believe 16s and 20 will do, will benefit most of the people if they do it correctly, without even need to go for the 24. How hard is it really to learn and to master, to put it into applicable practice, very practical? Okay, let's learn the lifts and let's begin to harness them, no shit, all the good, all the benefits from it. What do you say?
Well, like anything, you need to be able to commit the time to do it. And I think that's we're in such a rush anymore to get our goals or to, yeah, it's amazing. If I, again, thinking on my own experiences, it took me years to eat and not move myself into the illness that I was living in. Years to get to nearly 300 pounds. That was like a dedicated effort on my part to get there over a long period of time. And then so for me to expect to change all that like a light switch it's not fair to myself. It's not fair to anybody that I was working with. It's just not. And so developing the skill to use GS methodology principles efficiently takes time. And to me, it was very worth it because now when I pick up bells and I can move efficiently, when I watch other people online or if I'm visiting other gyms and I see kettlebells and I watch people use them, or I watch new members at my gym, picking up bells and you can see inexperience and that's fine. I want someone to exercise versus not exercise, but you can see that there is a huge difference in, if your whole business model is on a two-hand swing and then a single arm swing versus learning to put two bells overhead as efficiently and as safely as quickly as possible, there's a completely different mindset involved, completely different goals. And that doesn't mean one is better than in my opinion, yes, one is better than the other, but depending on the individual, if your goal is only to hinge and you only have one bell to use and you have no desire to get a second bell, I can only do so much. I can only help you so much. I can only instruct you so much. But if a person is willing to put that time in and to learn and want to develop a skill and maybe you start with only wanting to do one bell, two hand exercises, so a swing and a goblet squat as an example. But once you see the benefit of that, and then you're like, well, maybe there's more out there for me, and maybe I'll enjoy. It really depends on the individual, but in my experiences and the people that I work with closely, there's no question on is it worth my time to develop the skill? Absolutely. It's to be able to come in, and you had mentioned that, it's kind of maybe a cheat code. I want the benefits of the cardiovascular benefits of steady state cardio as someone that's going to go for a jog or whatever. I can work on that in my living room if I had the equipment and I had the knowledge or the programming to follow or the skill to do that. I don't have to go out. I can work on my heart and my lungs, me personally, with kettlebells, pretty fantastic. Because I don't want to run, because when I go and run, it's painful. My hips, my back, my knees. I would rather train, me personally, I would rather train and get the benefits from my mode of choice than be in pain and not be able to be functional the rest of the day or 2 days or whatever. And so I'm kind of trailing off here. I think my point was made, but
Indeed.
You got to put a timer on me.
No. Actually, I do enjoy hearing you speak. Absolutely. And like very dry put, technique wise, do you believe, because I've done it in workshops, you can show a decent long cycle because let's divide. Jerk is pretty much specific kettlebell sport exercise. Long cycle is undoubtedly, we can say that is like kind of a king for overall fitness, what
Sure.
it holds. Okay, and yeah, like Girevoy's hinge too. It's not fair to say we don't hinge. We hinge. Okay, we don't snap, we don't hiss, but we hinge. But okay, so long cycle as a general fitness athletic carryover, like this conjunction where you go anywhere you want after really doing long cycle. If you don't have any postural like severe deficiencies, you can master it within 3 hours. You can do a decent long cycle technique, and then it's about training, getting the reps slowly, developing this cardiovascular and like specific muscular endurance. Snatch, on the other hand, is more tricky. Yeah, like snatch sports style is a scientifically speaking nasty motherfucker, and it only seems easy because it's like, yeah, but no. Okay, so yeah, like if we take this apart, snatch will take longer, so high pulls, and we'll dig about this exercise, um, nerding. Okay, we'll get like programming and exercise nerd in next episode, but yeah, like in snatch, until you're on snatch, you can do high pulls and it will do like great job and cleans. But long cycle and snatch, at least for the sum structure, you can learn in like 5 to 6 hours and you're ready to go. So there is, again, unlike Olympic weightlifting, that it takes a lot of time to really like get the snapping. And kettlebell sport, like kettlebell moves, are more okay, they're a bit more natural. Okay, they're a bit more easy to learn. And
Yeah.
since we are working with sub-maximal loads for maximal times, it is the carryover, especially for the like this, first of all, for the sedentary, because it involves the two biggest joints and it does amazing stuff. And for really amateur athletes who really want to reap the benefits and find something that gives them like almost everything, and then what is left for you to do some pulling motions, some good old squatting, deadlifting, throw weighted dips, and physique wise, you're pretty covered. Now go swim and run and do whatever you want. Okay, and enjoy healthy life and play with your kids. Great. So, okay, we've covered a lot today, and thank you. And thank all the people for watching and was tolerating. They did their endurance training too, because we are talking about half an hour now. Congratulations, people, you've completed half marathon of Michael and Levi talking. Okay, so, all right, great. Thank you, and we'll see you all in the next episode.
Sounds good.